Hello, my friends. My name is Justice Knight, and I am honored and blessed to be filling in for Lisa Haven today. And I want to thank you each for being here. Before we get into digital authoritarianism and how the Chinese model is starting to control the internet on a global perspective, and we're going to do this case by case. The information is staggering. I want to give you a brief introduction to myself. You can find my information on two places. First, on YouTube under Justice Knight that you see on your screen right now, or simply go to my website, justiceaknight.com, where you can also have access to those videos. In case we're ever banned from YouTube, you'll always can go to our main websites and find our videos there, because no matter where we host them, that's where they'll appear. But jumping right into the article, this published by freedomhouse.org. The titled article is Freedom on the Net 2018, The Rise of Digital Authoritarianism. And that is a big term for exactly what's happening. But we're going to run right into the article and read the opening statements. Fake news, data collection, and the challenge to democracy. The internet is growing less free around the world, and democracy itself is withering under its influence. Disinformation and propaganda disseminated online have poisoned the public sphere. The unbridled collection of personal data has broken down traditional notions of privacy, and a cohort of countries is moving towards digital authoritarianism by embracing the Chinese model of extensive censorship, these are keywords, and automated surveillance systems. And I'm going to show you, again, case by case, how this is being done. So we're going to go through this intro information as quick as we can, because the United States is on a decline. And I'm going to show you why, because our social media giants are embracing the Chinese model like they're a nearby cousin, and destroying us in the interim, along with other countries who are doing the same. And you'll read the quote right here. Of the 65 countries assessed, 26 have been on an overall decline since June 2017, in comparison to only 19 that have registered net improvements. That's horrible information. You're going to see here on the map, and this map illustrates from the same article which countries are doing best as opposed to worse. Because if the closer to the 100 scale you get, the worse you're doing. So if we go to the United States right here, we are at 22 of 100. Not bad, right? Canada's at 15. Canada's doing better than us. We can start just thumbing through the country. This is Brazil, 31 of 100. Let's go to Russia, 67. And now you're starting to see the oppression. You're starting to see where internet's no longer free. But everybody pales in comparison to China. 88 of 100. Their freedom is gone. And this is the model we're going to follow? So we go further in the article. China was once again the worst abuser of internet freedom in 2018. Exactly. And now we're going to show you why. Because China's trying to take their dystopian view and enforce it across the entire globe, because they don't want a dissenting opinion on anything against China. And they're getting really good at exporting that thought process and having other people implement it, because those people, well, they want control too. Down in the article right here, it says U.S. President Bill Clinton famously compared the Chinese government's attempt to control the internet to trying to nail Jell-O to the wall. Well, he was absolutely wrong, because they're getting very good at it. Because as it's quoted here, internet controls within China reached new extremes in 2018 with the implementation of the sweeping cybersecurity law and upgrades to surveillance technology. Is that the only way they're doing it? Oh no, there's a multi-pronged approach, and this is where we're going to start going one by one. And we're going to take this one right here, content removal. How are they doing that? Let's go to the articles. Let's go to modern current articles. This one published on November 13th. China erases citizen social media accounts in widespread censorship campaign. Following the country's restriction on media outlets, China has exercised their censorship laws, eliminating 9,800 social media accounts overnight, because they deem them as having inappropriate content. Again, the definition of what they deem as inappropriate content or hate speech are very gray terminologies. So how did we follow suit? Because I told you there'd be a direct comparison, right? Facebook removes 1 billion fake accounts, millions of posts, photos that violate community policies. This published on November 15th. A direct comparison to China. Now, I will state that there are certain posts, pictures, and accounts that do need to be taken down. Those that contain pornography, nudity, violence, photographic violence, a direct against what they claim are community standards. And those are, again, very hard to define. But when you're taking down 1 billion fake accounts, how many of those were conservative? How many of those were Christian? How many of those were your friends or those you relied on for information? But we're going to continue because we got to go right to the next one, which is revoking access or online manipulation. So in China, if you don't comply, they'll just take away your mobile device and the internet. And then they're also going to put a bunch of fake agents, because state-run media agents, that can manipulate the message. But that would never happen in America, right? Twitter bans over 10,000 bot accounts that were discouraging users from voting. Fake information, fake bots that were replying to posts and posting information to steer an election. So these tactics are already in play in the United States. But we're going to continue, because now we're going to get to the scary ones. We're going to get to legislative censorship, aka net neutrality. Because if net neutrality is allowed to be in place, that allows the government to get into your internet and my internet and start to censor the message. That's why when you see articles like this, you have to be careful. TechCrunch, U.S. declines in the internet freedom. They're actually referring to the same article that you and I are discussing right now. Thanks to net neutrality repeal and fake news. This is an agenda article. Do you see it? Net neutrality is free speech. Net neutrality is not free speech. Repealing net neutrality is free speech. Getting rid of it forever. It's why it was such a loss when the Supreme Court ignored the ruling on it. Because now net neutrality still has a path to be implemented. And with the recent elections, more so of a path now than ever. But we're going to continue, because we're going to go to the next approach, the next attack, the next model of Chinese censorship, high-tech surveillance. Citizens' behavior, and it's right here, citizens' behavior monitored via artificial intelligence and facial recognition tools. Facial recognition scares the living daylights out of me, because once they have those cameras up, you will be able to go nowhere without being monitored. Well, we're not safe anymore, because now we're going to put it in the airports, and these articles drive me crazy. Leave your ID. Facial recognition coming to this U.S. airport. From checking in to boarding flights, travelers can do it all without showing an ID, because isn't it nice? Isn't it convenient? Isn't it easy? Isn't it wonderful to have your rights stripped away from you and masked as if it was perfectly normal, perfectly convenient? Our rights, our freedoms weren't gotten us conveniently. How many Americans laid down their lives to assure those freedoms, but yet these articles so lightheartedly want to strip them back? A direct correlation to the Chinese model of censorship and destruction of freedoms. Critics arrested. Well, you could say that Dinesh D'Souza on trumped-up charges got arrested for this, but if we do a more direct approach, not much arrested as freedoms taken away. And how can I arrest you? How can I change your life? How can I assure you can't live your life correctly? I can unmonetize you, I can take your money away, and I might as well have all but arrested you. And folks like PayPal are doing this every day. This article, video sharing site Bitchute cries foul after apparently being banned from PayPal. They weren't the only ones. Alex Jones, the same thing happened to him. PayPal said no more payments. So if I got to tear you down off of YouTube, and I'm going to tear you down off of Facebook, and I'm going to tear you down off of Twitter, that's not enough, because now I'm going to make sure you can't get paid. Arresting his way of life. And he's not the only one facing this. And it's why it's becoming so critical that we continue to understand the model of how China is going about it. Because violence, I watch it every day on the news, is on the uptick in the United States. Technical attacks. How is the internet eventually, once they have control of it through net neutrality, which they say they're not controlling it, but that's what they're going to do, when do they start to attack our mainframes? Well, wait, because are they already attacking us? Because the big hack, how China used a tiny chip to infiltrate U.S. companies, I've already covered this multiple times. Actually, China's already attacked our servers and our motherboards because they installed these chips. But yet everybody wants to refute this article. So China now reached all the way overseas, right into our country, and attacked it exactly according to this model of technical attack. The Great Firewall, foreign social media websites and messaging apps are blocked, and we're seeing that every day as they tear down any alternative platform that comes up to make sure they can't fight against Facebook and Twitter and YouTube, following this whole schematic to the T. And we have to fight back. I did an entire video and back to my website. They don't want you to know this. A blueprint to avoiding censorship. All the alternative media platforms you could want as a resource. Because Lisa made sure, she asked me, she goes, I don't mind you giving this broadcast. It's incredible information, but I want to make sure that you give my audience ways to get around it. Ways that they can empower themselves to make sure they're getting uncensored messages. And this video will show you, this one right here. They don't want you to know this. And I'll make sure she puts a link in the bottom so you can find it. Because, my friends, this wheel right here is something we have to pay so close attention to. Why I spend so much time on China, not only militarily, but also technologically. And Google's going to go build them a mainframe. This is horrific what's happening in our country, and the fact that we are allowing so many to get away with following this model that we have to stop. Now, that was a ton of information. I want to thank you each for hanging in there. But before we end, Lisa asked me to help with one of her sponsors, and it is my absolute honor to do so. PatriotFlashlight.com. This is the Rugged Reserves Survival Tactical Flashlight. You see it up on your screen. I'm going to attempt to cover everything this flashlight does because it's one of those devices when the lights go out, you are absolutely going to need it because this doesn't need a plug. This doesn't need batteries. You see the solar panel right here. You get lost. You have your compass. You unscrew the compass. You have a siren. Even as a safety device for if the lights don't go off, just for your own automobile safety, you should have this in your car ready to go. The flashlight itself, 2 nautical miles. Because you got your safety lights here in case you got to do some work on the car, which we've all had to do in the middle of the dark. You got to flag somebody down. You got to put it down as a hazard light next to your automobile. That is right there, ready to go. This device is amazing. You got to break the glass to get out of your car. It's all set and ready to go. You got to cut the seatbelt because you got trapped. You got to cut rope. There's your cutter. This is one of those amazing sponsors that we love to have as a part of the overall package because they're giving something that's helpful to you. So once again, and this has got a Black Friday deal coming on it. If you use the code HAVEN15, 15% off. PatriotFlashlight.com. I want to thank you each again for tuning in. My name is Justice Knight. You can find me, as we talked about, on YouTube or on my website, justiceknight.com. I can't thank you each enough for being here. I can't thank Lisa enough for allowing me to fill in. So until next time, Godspeed and God bless. Thank you each for being here.